Seemingly every single year for San Francisco, there seems to be quarterback controversy, and this offseason is no different. They're slated to lose both Brandon Allen and Joshua Dobbs this free agency period. Allen, when you watch him, just never looked like he could consistently lead this team to wins, and Joshua Dobbs wants an opportunity to start, which won't come in San Francisco. So San Francisco most likely will have to turn to Tanner Mordecai, the undrafted free agent they selected from Wisconsin last season. Mordecai comes in at 6'2", weighing 220 pounds, and he's blistering fast. He ran his 40-yard time in 4.46 seconds, so he's a true dual-threat quarterback. My favorite part though is how he stresses the defense with his legs while also looking down the field. He rolls out of the pocket in a similar way Brock Purdy does, scans the field, and then completes passes all day long. Across his 6-year college career, for instance, he had a completion percentage of 66.4% and nearly 10,000 yards. He also rarely put the ball in harm's way. His TD to INT ratio was 3.14 to 1, and that's better than Brock Purdy's across the course of his college career, which was 2.45 to 1. And he did this on 3 different teams. He started out going to the Oklahoma Sooners, transferred over to the SMU Mustangs, and finished his career with the Wisconsin Badgers. All of this experience to me makes Mordecai an extremely valuable player. He was able to learn a bunch of different offenses across his college career and be extremely effective in each one. And now moving to San Francisco, we've already seen glimpses of him inside San Francisco's offense where he's able to run it almost similar to Purdy. He'll roll out of the pocket and make a beautiful connection down the field, which I think is extremely vital for a backup quarterback. You don't want to have to change your entire offense for 1 week, which I thought they kind of had to do with a player like Brandon Allen. He frankly was not anywhere close to the mobility Purdy was, and you could tell that throughout the game. But with a player like Mordecai, he's actually more athletic than Purdy, but they have almost identical playing styles. Mordecai prefers to roll out of the pocket and throw it, and not run necessarily. That's the same thing with Purdy, but they both can take off and really hurt a defense with their legs. But the similarities between these two don't end there. Brian Griese had his hand in selecting Brock Purdy and really developing into the quarterback we know today, and he did the same thing for Mordecai last season. While he's off the team, I think Brian Griese is a great coach at evaluating quarterbacks. He's able to find these late round steals. The key in these steals is understanding how they fit into Kyle Shanahan's offense. With Mordecai, for instance, almost every single strength you can see directly playing into Kyle Shanahan's offense. He's great at his ball placement, for instance, which maximizes yak. And his best area throwing the ball is probably short to intermediate, although he can hit some crazy deep passes. And this all indicates to me he's a perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense. Kyle may ask a quarterback to throw it deep once or twice a game, I mean really deep, and then the rest of the game, he's going to want him to hit those easy throws. That was a big reason San Francisco had to move off Trey Lance. He couldn't hit those so-called easy throws. With Mordecai, he can not only hit those so-called easy throws, but does so even with defenders draped all over his man. His accuracy is mind-boggling. So with Mordecai headed into year 2, and right now, the only other quarterback seemingly going to stay on San Francisco's roster other than Brock Purdy, I want to see how he could really step in for the number 2 role and if he could really excel there. To do this, we're going to examine his film from last year with San Francisco and the areas I think he needs to continue to improve this offseason to continue to develop as a quarterback. And honestly, I have to admit, I'm pretty excited about his development. Starting out, we're going to be looking at his play action game because I think this is where he's almost most Purdy-esque. On this play, for instance, he's rolling out to his left, and even with this defensive end chasing him and not being able to set his feet, he makes the perfect throw on the run. This is what I'm talking about when I said earlier, his short to intermediate throw accuracy is absurd. I mean, if this isn't a clean play action pass, I frankly don't know what is. Another important factor for a quarterback's game is being cool and collected on third down. On this play, we can see him doing just that. He drops back, and as soon as this wide receiver is coming out of his break, he's throwing this, which reduces the risk of this cornerback breaking on this ball and potentially getting an interception or a PBU. Another thing quarterbacks have to do in Kyle Shanahan's offense is make split-second decisions because so many of his routes are quick developing. And on this play, he's able to do just that, hitting this tight end breaking out to the flat. I love his ability to read the defense. He also does a pretty good job of navigating the pocket. Like I said earlier, he's not looking off just to run. Here, for instance, you can see how he slides in this pocket and then steps into the pocket to make this throw to Danny Gray. Watching from the end zone angle, look at this little slide. It gives him plenty of time to make this throw to Danny Gray. I like to see this ball a little bit lower, but I love the pocket presence. And when he's immediately pressured, I think he does a great job of getting out of bad situations. Here, for instance, he could have easily lost a ton of yardage, but does a good job because of his athleticism, losing nothing on the play. But this isn't to say Tanner Mordecai is a perfect quarterback. I think he needs to improve headed into year 2 at reading corners. Like here, he's reading this corner, thinks he's going to drop off, so he shoots it to this wide receiver going to the flat and nearly gets picked off. Mordecai can also continue to refine his accuracy and consistency hitting routes down the field. And this offseason, I'd like to see him add maybe 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. He has a frame to do that, and that would just make him much more durable as a quarterback. But overall, heading into year 2, I'm really excited about Mordecai. I think he's going to grab onto that number 2 job and never let it go, and eventually probably will end up getting a starting opportunity somewhere. But ultimately, these are just my thoughts about Tanner Mordecai, and I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. It would also mean a ton to me if you could like and subscribe, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.